Yo buddy, what's going on? It is X10. Today we are going to be breaking down UK drill drums. You lot wanted to see my drums more in depth. You wanted to see kind of how I mix my drums. You wanted to see in depth on UK drill patterns. Again, I'll go have a fucking shower.
What?
Alright, cool. I'm just gonna get straight into it. We've got a melody from the boy Slippery Haze. I'll just play it for you quickly.
Nice.
The purpose of today's tutorial, we're going to just be using this loop and we're going to be focusing more on the drums, how we're mixing the drums and all of that good stuff. The first thing you want to know of UK drill beats is the tempo. The tempo is really important to dictate what kind of style you want to go for in your beats. So 140 is on the slower end of UK drill, and then you can go all the way up to 148 for example. This is like the faster G4 chopper kind of tempo. Gives you an idea of the different kind of bounces. So for this beat, we're going to go 144. This is a typical Central C type BPM. I'm going to go into my new drill kit. Link is in the description below. Cool, the next big important thing is your sound selection. For more heavier hi-hats, like body for example, you know, a more powerful kind of hi-hat. You know, something with a bit more punch to it. And then for something more like a Central C type beat, you might want to go with something a bit more high end and stuff. So we're just going to bring in the jumpy hat on this one. The drill hi-hats is the most important part of the drill beat. This is what's going to dictate the bounce. It's going to dictate the flow. This is where the rapper's going to be able to find their different pockets. So it's really important that this bit's right. The traditional UK hi-hat bounce is quite simply, you put one, you skip two, you put one, you skip two, and then you just go Command B and you copy and paste it and blah 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 blah. Evian, I'm still waiting for you to sponsor me, mate. I feel like where a lot of producers they go wrong with their drill beats is when it comes to overcomplicating the hi-hat and perk patterns. There's nothing wrong with keeping your hi-hats a bit more simple. I'm gonna just hear how this sounds. Just change up the velocity a little bit. This will give it a bit more of a bounce. I added like a little 1-2 roll at the end here maybe. You know, it just keeps things interesting, but still keeping all of those notes that we originally put in, which is where all the bounce is. For this particular beat, we're just going to drag in the pingu snare. With a snare as well, you don't always have to put it on the C note, you know. You can put it down a bit, and that might give it a bit more body. We're gonna just switch up a little bit so we don't have that same snare pattern the whole time, but only a little bit. We're gonna just put a note here and a note here. Drill drums made easy. Just listen to how that sounds.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I got commitment issues. For this one, we are just gonna drag in the haze kick. Gonna turn it all the way up. Might even go here. If you click on this button here, that's next to pre-computer fit. I've never seen that word before in my life, mate. Gonna go in here, and there's actually a little boost button. You know, this is a bit of kick source for you. You turn it up. FBI, open up! Not too much, because you know it would sound like ear rape, but you turn it up a little bit. Quite punchy now. It's like got a nice little distortion to it. Another bit of kick source for you is again not putting the kick on the C note, but instead we're going to pitch it down a bit, and this is going to give it some more low end in the mix. With the kicks, we're just going to keep it really simple. Nobody likes too much kicks going on. It just throws off the artist. Nobody can rap on it. Kicks, very simple. We're going to put one at the start. We want to make sure there's kicks in on the 1, the 3, 5, 7. Make sure that the kick also isn't hitting where the snare hits, because you know they might clash a little bit. And on the end here, we can do that traditional UK drill dum 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 on the kick. It gives a bit of drive going into the next bar, you know what I'm saying? Do it like that. Very nice. We're gonna add in a couple bits of percussion. So we're gonna bring the rinse clap perk. So we're just gonna put this at the end here. Gonna kind of follow and layer on top of the hi-hat pattern. Gonna add an extra note just for a bit more bounce here. We're gonna just bring in the splash perk. Again, this is just gonna add a bit more texture to the percussion side of things, gives a bit more things going on. And we're gonna put it on the next bar as well. What we can do with all these drums, you know, we can add effects onto our different stuff, make things sound more interesting. So I'm gonna go to fruity delay 2, time up to 12 o'clock, and this is gonna add like a nice delay onto our perk. The next thing I'm also gonna add is just this crash perk. It's just a basic gunshot. Using this out knob, if you turn it up, then it will just shorten the sample. And what I'm just gonna do is I'm just gonna put one on the 8 and I'm gonna put one on the 7 and lower velocity a little bit. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add it to the same mixer track as the splash perk. So it's gonna sound like this. We're going to move on to what most of you are here for, and that's for 808s. We're going to use the mountain 808 and always turn off loop points. Loop points are annoying. Nobody likes loop points, worst thing in the world. FL Studio, get rid of loop points. The next important thing is tuning your 808s. You can do this just by listening to a sample. Yeah, I know I say, because if I try on any other note, for example, this E, it could be right, but this isn't the most powerful dominant note for this particular starting chord. What I also like to do is I like to shorten the 808. I'm doing these 808s at a higher octave just so it's easier for me to kind of hear what the notes are. Everything will be in tune and everybody's happy. You're going to get placements, mate. The thing with slides, I feel like in today's UK drill climate, you don't want to overdo it with the slides. Now, a lot of artists, they don't like a lot of high-end, over-the-top kind of slides. It kind of obstructs from the main purpose of a beat, which is to be in the background and allow the artist to be the star of the show, really. And now we're just going to listen to it and we're going to hum out what slides will work. Me personally, I like to just offset it to the right ever so slightly, which kind of gives it a bit more flair, gives it a bit more substance, you know what I mean? I think these slides are a little bit quiet, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to highlight them, I'm going to hold option, I'm just going to scroll up, which is going to raise their velocities. On my master, I've just got a soft clipper here, so we're just going to mix it a little bit now. I've got a deep 808 mix on my kit, or a slidey mix, so I'm just going to add in the deep mix on this one. Okay, what it is, it's just boosting the low end a little bit, also boosting the mids, a little stereo shaper on it just to widen the 808 sound, a little bit of compression, and a little bit of distortion just to give it, you know, a bit more punch. So this is what it sounds like with a mix on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to change the pitch of the entire beat. I'm just going to press down on the arrow key 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And also I'm going to go onto the sample, double click it and go into the pitch section of the time stretching. And we're going to pitch it down by 3. The sample 808s are still in key, but they've been transposed down by 3. I'm sure Slippery Haze has already mixed it, but we're just going to stereo shaper just to widen the sound again. Going to go on EQ, we're just going to take out some more low ends just so there's no clashing between your bass and your melody, which will create a muddy kind of unclean sort of sound. With my snare as well, it's a thing I like to do. I go on my parametric EQ and I'm just going to boost the low end a little bit just so there's a bit more punch in my snare. This is what it sounds like without EQ. This is what it sounds like with EQ. You know, it's a slight change, but in the whole mix of a beat, punch is a lot harder. With my hi-hat as well, I'm just going to go to EQ. We're going to boost behind a little bit and we're just going to boost the low a little bit, take out all the super low end. This is just another little sound. It's a bit of ear candy really for when you're listening to the beat. Again, it's just a little bit of ear candy, but it's sticking to that fundamental drill bounce. It's not really going too far out. We can use the movie sub for my kit. We're just going to follow those 808 notes really. We're going to go to the fillers section in my kit. We've got 16 different fillers. I'm going to release a whole separate kit just for these kind of fillers, these kind of end of loop drum rolls kind of things. This is the ear candy which really, you know, makes the beats different really. This one here, we're going to add it again. This is all just ear candy really. Cool. I don't want any of the drums or anything, I just want the sample. And then for the next 8 bars, I'm going to introduce the sub bass, and I'm also going to introduce the hi-hat, and I'm going to introduce this splash perk and a couple other perks. I'm going to keep these fillers here, apart from this filler here because it's got quite a nice little snare roll. Variation, very simple. I'm going to pitch up the second note. I'm also going to add some 808s in this gap. and a 4, and we can play around velocities a bit as well. So I'm just gonna make them come down, so it's gonna have a bit of a fading out effect, which might sound cool. And I'm also gonna do this thing I like to do with my 808s. I'm just gonna go up 2 octaves. I'm gonna make it very short, hold over Command B. It's gonna be like a little roll, and we're gonna fade it up, and this is gonna almost create like a reverse effect. And at the end here, I'm gonna put this note down, and I'm just gonna have it slide up to this note here, so it's gonna sound like. I'm gonna reintroduce the sub bass. Arranging your beats is also very important, how you arrange it. 16 bars of introduction. I like to have 16 bars of hook or chorus. I like to have 16 bars of verse, and then an 8-bar bridge. To separate the chorus from the verse coming in, I'm gonna introduce the sub bass. I'm also going to take this here, I'm just gonna copy it onto some random channel. I'm gonna right click where it says track 27, or whichever one you're on, and where it says consolidate this track, we're just going to press from track start. So now I can pitch it down by 12, and this is going to be a nice bit of variation. Introduce the bridge section I talked about, and we're going to take out the hi-hat for this section. So this is the bridge section here. Maybe 3 to 4 different 808 patterns is the sweet spot, you know, keeping things interesting at the same time. So we're just gonna pitch these up one as well. I'm gonna move this back down to where it was, and this is what it sounds like with variation. When you take out the snare and you make the 808 longer, it just changes up the bounce completely of the section. And at the end, I'm going to do the mad thing with the snare. We're just going to add one there, and we're going to create a little drop off effect. So we're going to add 4 snares like this, and the velocities, I'm also going to have them descending. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out absolutely everything other than the snares, so that when it goes into the next bar, it's just another interesting piece of ear candy that keeps you interested. There's a bit of a cheat code to this. If you go to my kit, I've got a little riser template here. I'm going to create a whole kit just for these riser templates, so it's quite easy, just drag them in. Cool, so once you've done the saucy thing that added in my riser template, shit, I gotta add Slippery's tagging here, man.
Extend.
That is the video, guys. I hope you guys learned something. You found the tutorial interesting. Again, link to my kit is in the description. Shout out Slippery Hayes as well. I'm going to leave his kit in the description. Check out his YouTube channel. He's a very hard YouTuber, very sick beat maker. So yeah, go check his stuff out too. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, love.